Welcome to episode of Opinions. We're up to episode 43, Changing of the Guard. My name's Harry. His name's Ben. Wowzers, was All Stars a letdown?
straight into the shade. Man, I guess we kick off with a quick recap of that.
But is it shade if I'm right?
I mean, it's just facts at this point. It's just being honest.
I'll throw it out there. You watched it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be worth my time. And I think I was right.
Yeah. I mean, you're actually with the majority because this is off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that we had the lowest view rate of the All-Star game that we've had in years.
Yes.
I think it was only about like...
I saw that somewhere as well.
40% maybe tops. I don't know. It was bad. But yeah, no one really watched it and I don't blame them. I feel like
half the people were injured too. It's like half of the original teams didn't even make it to the court.
Yeah, that's true. We did have a lot of big names, obviously not actually making an appearance. Yeah, you got a lot of injuries. KD out, obviously that's a big one, all-star starter.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I guess part of it's that, but part of it's just the game itself. I think we just delve into this real quick. I did watch the whole thing, start to finish.
Before we get into All Stars, have
Yeah.
I told you why? I've alluded to where I got Kevin Durantula from.
I feel like that's been a nickname for ages, right?
Has it? Yeah, no, but I'll tell you where I got it from, right?
Ah.
I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about their favorite spiders or
Yeah.
why they were talking about why teams aren't named after spiders. Like you've got you've got all these other animals,
Yeah.
but you've never got team names named after spiders, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then they're like, oh yeah, but when I think of spiders, I think about like players like Kevin Durantula, what's his name on the Cavs, Speeder, Donovan.
Oh, right.
Donovan Spider Mitchell.
Yeah,
and then there was a couple other like players from the NBA that they called spiders. And
you could make a whole team just on spider-based nicknames on players, probably.
yes,
So.
I have to listen to the clip again, but I've always thought that Kevin Durantula was the funniest thing. I laughed at that for a solid 5 minutes. I thought Kevin Durantula was the funniest thing I've heard for a while.
Man, he honestly, it was almost cooler back in the day, OKC days. I feel like those nicknames.
No! Don't start me with all this. Oh, he ruined the game by going to the Golden State.
Oh man, nah.
He got the bag.
That's fair.
Sorry. All-Star game.
All-Star game. So I think the biggest issue, really, we know that not much defense is played. That's obviously part of it. But this might be controversial. But last year's All-Star game was genuinely really good.
Which I have no memory of this.
That's the one where Steph Curry hit about 16 3-pointers. That was just incredible to watch. He was hitting them, turning around before it even goes in. Cash.
Wasn't it just fire because they weren't playing defense, but at least it was entertaining because they just kept hitting shots?
Partially because people were hitting shots, but partially because it was close too. It came down to the last shot. LeBron hit his signature step back, fade away, and it was at Cleveland as well. So it had a lot of good stuff going for it. And also Curry, born in Cleveland too. So
the best one was when Kobe passed away and they had the game based around Kobe, and everyone really tried it. That one one was a really good All-Star
That
year.
one was really good. I think that one had the highest ratings in terms of the most recent history. Yeah, but I would argue that the one last year as well was that level, that caliber of entertainment. So this one, I tuned in. I had not the highest hopes, but even I was still let down. And look, I think part of it is probably just it's too risky getting injured. I think players are probably
100%.
told go at 10% because you're too big of an asset for our team.
Look how tight it is right now.
Yeah.
It's literally going to be survival of the fittest. The team, especially in the West, it won't be the best team that wins it all. It will be the team that stays most healthy. And we've been saying this for weeks now.
It's the last man standing, really.
It really is.
I mean, as it is, LeBron actually didn't play the second half because he injured his finger going up for a block. He was the only one playing defense. Props to him. He actually did get some swats.
He was slapping some balls.
But
my goodness.
Unfortunately, actually went off with an injury second half. So you can see why, I guess, in that regard.
Look, and while obviously the All-Star game, it's for charity and it's a really good cause and all that, big respect for those charities that get supported. But for the players, it's not worth it. They're over halfway through the season. We've got maybe 2/5 of a season left.
Yeah, we're down to the last 20 odd games, I think. So
out of X amount of games. So we're at the crunch time of the year. And it's not worth them really doing anything because they need to be healthy for especially look, the East is evened out a bit. the East is pretty set. Maybe not as much at the bottom, but the top 6 are pretty maybe the top 5
where those seeds are probably going to end up. Yeah.
But the West is still there, especially from like 5th down to 10th to 12th.
Yeah.
This could come down to the absolute wire. So why the hell are you risking yourself for charity?
Luka was actually mic'd up, which is great. I think that's a nice little touch. He's like talking while he's actually on the court, which is pretty fun. Little insight behind the scenes. But he came off and he's like, yeah, I got my 2 points. I'm done. Like, they know that they're not meant to go all out. The only incentive they have is for that MVP trophy, which Jason Tatum's like, yeah, it's going to be mine this year. He dropped 55, which is a new record for the All-Star game. But it wasn't an entertaining 55, if I'm that bold. He took too many shots to get there. He was chucking up threes, bricking a lot. He still hit a lot of shots and some tough ones too. But you could tell he was just trying to get his points up. It was really between him and Donovan that were
I thought Dono was gunning for it. Yeah.
And also he was a bit more efficient. So, yeah, it just isn't the same. I do like the new format of each quarter. It's like kind of resets the score, so it makes it a bit more entertaining, a bit tighter. But by the last quarter, it's obvious who's going to win, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it was boring.
I feel like you want to see the best players in the league just going at it, but I think realistically we can't really expect that. So
and I did watch some clips from the 3-point contest. I've never really had a problem. Like, I think, like, I like the money balls. I like the extra little shot, the corner. Yeah. Like I have no complaints about the 3-point contest.
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's a pretty simple, like, it's a pretty basic concept. I like this like having the strategy of like where are they going to put their money ball rack.
That's
and
true.
Can they hit the bonus point, like the little like step?
Real deep, 3.1. Yeah, I mean, end of the day, it's not going to be mind blowing like some dunks might be, but I think it's solid. I think they've got a good formula for that. Halliburton went absolutely off in the first round. He was on fire. I love his just low effort shot. It looks so casual. But yeah, Dame won it, which I think he's the first player from Portland to ever win it, which is cool.
Wow.
So shout out to them. But yeah, look, we know he cooks from deep, so it was good that he finally got a dub there. So
he's not going to get any other dubs.
Savage. I mean, look, Portland's like not really in there at the moment, but we'll see. And then I guess finally the dunk contest. I personally enjoyed it. I think that we had 2 players out of the 4 that had some solid dunks. Wasn't the best that we've seen, but it was at least maybe a slight step up.
Look, my problem with the dunks is, look, I really like the concept. The concept of having like young versus old, because like they did like current NBA players versus G League, right? That was they
had one G League player. They also had a couple of G League players in, I think, the Rising Stars game and stuff, just to integrate that a bit more.
So let's just go right off the bat. There's 2 big problems with the dunk contest. 1, the best dunkers aren't in the contest.
Yep, facts.
2, and maybe this was a little bit better this year. I didn't really pay attention to the scoring, but the scoring and the objectivity of dunking has been a huge thorn in the dunk contest side for years now.
I think the thing that killed it the most was Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine. Look, props to Zach. He deserved to win, but I think Aaron deserved one of those, and he hasn't come back since because the scoring was a bit rubbish.
I don't think either of them have come back since.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think it was the 2 of those contests, and that was it. But they have actually changed the scoring. So instead of giving 1 to 10 and then being the total out of 50, now each of the judges ranks out of 50, and it's the average. And that worked a lot better this year, I will say, because you don't have one person ruining a perfect 50 dunk by being like, no, that was an 8. Instead, it's going to be closer to what the score should be.
Okay.
And we still did see a lot of 50s. Mac McClung pulled out 3 this year. So people saying he saved the dunk contest, I think that's a bit far, but he did put on a great show. So I think there were some solid dunks there. So props to him.
Yeah. And obviously like the Rising Stars game's always usually pretty good.
I will say, honestly, the highlight for me, and this sounds stupid, but this is the highlight for me, is the Rising Stars game. Because they have the format now where they have ex-NBA players draft teams, and you have 4 Rising Star teams. They then play the 2 games, and there's a finals. And it adds a level of competition. And obviously, these guys are younger. They're not necessarily the centerpiece for their team.
And they're hungry.
So they're hungry. And you see it. They play D. They go out there, hustle. They actually want to show the league that, like, we're the next generation. So I really, really like that. Honestly, I think that's the highlight of the whole weekend, to be honest.
And let's just not talk about the skills challenge.
That's not even a thing. Yeah, let's not.
I off memory,
that's a mess.
It sounds like a mess.
The 3 Giannis brothers was Thanasis, I think, the other one, and then Drew Holiday, the famous third Antetokounmpo, because obviously Giannis was injured, so he couldn't do it. But yeah, look, end of the day, it was a very Utah All-Star game. It was like, it happened. Yeah. About as interesting as Utah and Salt Lake City. No offense to my team.
yeah. You got them on the back burner until they finish their rebuild. Yeah. So look, it is what it is. I don't think it's always if anything, I'm just glad that the players get a break. Yeah,
I think honestly that's the biggest part of it, is a bit of a rest, a bit of a break coming into the most important bit of the season. Which it is getting very, very juicy right now.
It is so juicy. So we've had some not some last minute moves. The season's still got a while for it's over, but I feel like it's like we're at the stage of the year where people are freaking out and are trying to make moves to like get something out of this season, right?
Yeah, because crunch time.
Even making the play-in now is better than not making the play-in.
Yeah.
So first off, and we've talked a lot about this actually, we were discussing it a couple of months ago now, the whole Hawks situation where there's a lot of friction between Trae Young and the coach. And now we have an update. Hit me, Ben.
So the Hawks have pulled the trigger. They've fired head coach Nate McMillan. And yeah, I'm a little surprised, to be quite honest. I think we knew that this was brewing. We did cover it, and it's kind of like, okay, we were onto something. But yeah, I didn't think they were actually going to do it, because from what we heard, that the organization was kind of siding with the coach. It seemed like Trae was a bit of the issue. But I guess being a franchise player, they kind of have to cave eventually.
Or has it flipped over to becoming the coach was the problem, and that
perhaps
they backed him at first and then realized it? Who knows?
That could be it. But
there's a lot of rumors, but it's happened. He's not there anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's probably... Look, it could honestly pan out in their favor. Currently, the Hawks are in 8th. They are not set at this point. They still might be in the play-ins, might not make it.
Didn't they get Nate... Like, they kicked out their last coach, and then they got Nate, like, halfway through the season, and they went on a really good run?
I think he was a halfway season
acquisition. Yeah, and then they did really well.
So maybe the halfway switch can come in clutch?
Didn't they have that, like... Wasn't that the year where they had that mad playoff run against New York?
Oh, really racking my brain now, but it could have been actually.
And that's like they were like lounging around the bottom, and they had this mad playoff run that was like, we were expecting good things, and then nothing happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Currently, the Hawks season has not been good. They're actually under 50% wins at the moment, sitting at 29-30.
And they're 8th.
They're 8th, which is not set at this point, because you've got right behind them the Raptors on 29-31 and the Wizards 28-30. So it's literally within a game between these teams at the play-in. So
not safe. But look, I would say that they've got a pretty decent roster. They've definitely upgraded when they got that guy from San Antonio. What was his name?
Oh, DeJounte Murray. Yeah.
Sorry, I blanked.
Yeah,
that's what I have you for.
That's fair. But that's the thing, right? Because I honestly, seeing the Hawks in 8th, I'm like, yeah, that's about par for the course. But I totally forgot about the DeJounte trade. I thought that they would be like top 6 or 5, maybe. So, I thought that was a good move, but it's not panned out.
What do you do if your shooters aren't hitting?
I mean,
you get Quinn bloody Snyder. That's what you do.
That's true. I mean, yeah. Previously, coach of the most potent offense in the league with Utah, 3-point wise.
If there's one man that can work out how to get your 3-point shots to fall, it will be Quinn.
That's true. So he is a leading option at the moment in terms of replacement coach. And I'd love to see him there.
Honestly, I'd really like to see what he could do with a different group. Because, like, obviously, like, the Utah Jazz group was very, he had his core same people, like Bogdan, Gobert, Donovan, what's the Australian guys?
Oh, Ingles. Shout out
like,
to Joe.
Like, he had that, and Conley. Like, he sort of had that core group that was always the same.
Yep.
So like
Clarkson as well, yeah.
Clarkson, like we knew what he could get out of those guys.
Yep.
So I'd be really curious to see like something like the Hawks, where you've got Trae, you got Murray. There's still some good pieces on that team that would be
absolutely.
That could use. I think the team, they're smaller and faster. They could use a very flowy, because the Jazz were all about passing, finding the space, moving the ball around till they got a good shot.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm pretty sure Snyder got a lot of that from Pop in terms of offense. So I would like to see this. I think it would work well, with a lot of the shooting. I mean, Trae's not had the best shooting season, but maybe with a slightly different offensive plan, we can see him back to absolute catching fire.
Like, obviously, like, his lob game is absolutely scary.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of lobs working with, Rudy inside on Utah, maybe get some of that going on the inside with Trey.
He just needs better opportunities from the 3-point line. But everyone needs better opportunities. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, short version is I'd love to see Quinn with another team. I'm really curious to see what he could do with a different set of guys that are not. Would you say the Hawks are as one-dimensional as the Jazz?
I could see parallels. Obviously, with very happy to launch from deep with Trey. I think they've probably got a little bit more versatility, and I would say that because DeJounte has a lot more defensive presence than the guards on Utah did. Conley and Mitchell weren't. I don't think the same defensive player as DeJounte.
Sadiq Bey. I forgot about that.
That's right. They recently picked him up, who is a great 3-point shooter too. Again, that I think would play really well in with Quinn Snyder.
Clint, John Collins.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of similarities, which I think would work well. A lot of good shooters around a non-shooting big, just there to get boards and defend. So I think similarity, but more defensive potential, I'd say.
This is a decent team, honestly.
Yeah. So I think we should have been seeing more from them thus far in the season. So yeah, I guess the coach change is probably for the best. But having said that, there are only 20 odd games left in the season to get it together before playoffs. So
there's a chance.
Yeah.
Look, I think at the end of the day, like looking at this roster, like is it a championship winning team? No. But I feel like it should be at least a first or second round exit. Yeah. With that group of people, that should be the expectation.
Yeah, because we've seen them do it with a similar roster before, and if anything, I think they've made improvements.
Yeah. So I think they should be a little bit. They should be more in that like 7th to 5th spot.
Yeah,
I feel like with the amount of talent they have.
That's true.
Quick random rumor. There's been a rumor going around, and it keeps popping up, but I don't know if it's like just someone trolling. But there's someone that keeps going like Harden's coming back to the Rockets.
Oh,
it's the funniest thing. I keep hearing every so often it'll pop up like, oh yeah, Harden's thinking about coming back to the Rockets. It popped up at the beginning of the year. It's popped up again now. Do you think that potentially after this, because Harden's contract's done after this year?
Yeah.
With Philly, so he either has the chance to re-sign or does he give up on getting a ring and just go back to Houston and be like the main vet guy. The franchise guy with the vet?
I think there's only one reason why he goes back to Houston at the end of the season, and the one-word answer is Wembanyama. I think if the Rockets can get the first pick, get Victor, put Harden with him, now they're back to already a playoff team, I think.
I didn't think about that, actually.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I could think of, is if suddenly the young talent plus someone like Victor is enough that Harden can go back mentor and actually look pretty competitive. That's the only situation.
Well, I feel like it's also like, playing out, like he obviously loves Houston.
That's true.
He didn't really want to leave. He still does a lot there. I think all of his family and his main like houses and stuff are still in Houston. It's his home. It's his adopted home city now.
Yeah.
But I didn't think of that if they did get Wembanyama.
Yeah.
So, but it's like obviously, I think it's like the idea that most people have is that he's just gonna finish off his career quietly in Houston where he wants to be. I guess it depends on if he wins a ring in Philly. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
I think he'll go where he wants to go.
It's tough because when you're at that point in your career, you either just take smaller contracts, just fit in wherever you need to try and get that ring, or you just end comfortably, which I can respect. Because I mean, if you're happy there, and the fans will love you too, so that's not a bad option.
Yeah. So just a random thing that came up. I was like, it keeps popping up. So that's the thing. The more it keeps popping up, the more I'm like, is there smoke in this fire?
The first couple of times you're like, no way. But then the more you see it, you're like, oh, perhaps. So.
Or someone's just trolling really, really well.
Yeah.
Bulls have made some moves. The first one is some disappointing news, is that they've shut down Lonzo for this year. We've covered it a little bit. We're pretty sad. Like Lonzo, we've always thought had a lot of potential. Once he got out of the Lakers, he really started to show what he could do, and I think he's a fantastic player. But that injury is not good, and he has been shut down. Yeah,
I don't know what it is with Chicago and their point guards. Sorry to trigger anyone with Derrick Rose, and it's not been good in terms of historical. Jay Williams as well. He was a prospect and then never turned out. So. It's not been great, but speedy recovery, hopefully, to Lonzo.
He's been out for the whole season. He's had to have a second surgery on that knee, and it's not
been good.
Sounding good at all. But To replace him, not as talented, maybe a little bit more hustle though. They have fresh from the waivers. They have taken on Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, I guess I don't hate this move. You
don't have a lot of options.
Yeah, because that's the thing. In terms of options, you haven't got a ton. Might as well. You do need some more support at point guard with Lonzo definitely out. Bring some hustle, obviously. I've seen the quotes that he wants to knock the Lakers out of the playoff contention. So he's already going against his old team, which I kind of like that. I kind of like that beef already. But yeah, look,
maybe it's good that he wasn't on the Lakers because they may not make the playoffs, and he's trying to keep his playoff streak alive.
I mean, yeah, he's got better chance. Look, Chicago hasn't been great. They've actually been on a bit of a losing streak at the moment. They're sitting outside the play-ins, but I think Chicago needs a bit of defensive because they've been missing Lonzo's defense. They got AC, but they need a little bit more defensive presence. Could help.
Look, and the Bulls have always on paper got a chance. They've got Vooch, they've got Levine, they've got DeMarvelous.
Yeah, I think DeMar has been really the key for them this season.
DeMarvelous.
He's been great. So, look, I think, if anything, it's another little piece. Will it be the X factor? Maybe not, but it's a step perhaps in the right direction.
Look, it is well known that Pat Bev's attitude does bring people up around him, so maybe he could spark a little bit of fire for the Bulls. We'll have to see. The other big, which is, we were talking about this. We were quite surprised that K-Love asked for a buyout from the Cavaliers.
Yeah, because he's been there for, number of seasons now. I think since about 2015.
Bazillions of years.
About 2015. But yeah, he's been there a while. Obviously been, a huge part of their championship. Being a really important key player, but I guess they've moved on to some youth now. So
his rotation minutes have gone down significantly this season, which he was at points very helpful with like injuries and stuff, but he was getting less and less minutes. And
he actually slotted in quite well from being a regular starter to that sixth man to a bench player. But the minutes have dwindled, so I don't blame him for moving on.
What do you think about him going to Miami?
I actually kind of like it. I think he's got, obviously, stretch big is always an important thing in the league currently. But I think he's got the right attitude for a bit of a scrappy Miami team that's never really had a crazy all-star. It's had just a lot of good role players. So I think
he's going to look weird in the Miami shirt.
Yeah, it's one of those guys that you just get used to in the same jersey.
Look, for me, I think obviously it sucks that he wasn't needed at Cleveland anymore, but they've got a good rotation without him, and he's on the older side. I still thought he had some uses, but I guess if you've got Jared Allen and
Mobley they've got a lot of depth at the big.
You don't really need another big like Caleb. You probably want to focus on someone that's a bit younger and a bit more. The younger they are, in theory, the more they'll hustle on defense. Not that Kevin Love was bludging or anything on the defensive end, but he's old.
Yeah.
So that's the thing for me, is that Miami for me have kind of been look, just off the coaching they'll make. They should make playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Spoelstra's always kept them in good contention.
They'll make, they'll be a first round exit team.
Yeah.
Kevin Love doesn't change that.
Yeah, not the X factor, but I think a good fit though. I will say a good fit. I think he'll bring more scoring, a little bit more size at the bigs. And look, Miami's always a question mark team in my mind. I think I don't think you're as high on them as I am, but look, they made the finals a couple years ago, which I did not expect at all.
Yeah, so I think couple years ago.
I think they're always in contention. They're always somehow make up there.
It was all coaching. It was not something that they could maintain.
But Jimmy just somehow finds a way.
Yeah, but Jimmy's old and injury prone now.
Yeah, not the same Jimmy we used to.
He's not the same dominating player that he used to be.
That's true. But they'll squeeze into the playoffs. So
yeah, but there'll be a first round exit.
Yeah, we'll see.
Do you want to put something on it?
I'm not putting anything on it because their matchup is likely going to be someone like Milwaukee or the Celtics, and that's not happening. So
you've just gone from they're in the finals. Don't underestimate them. Come on, put something on it. First round exit.
You never know.
There's no doubt in my mind. First round exit.
All right, first round exit. I'm not putting money behind it. I'm not doing it.
Well, don't have to put money. Put some chili on it or something.
Oh man, I'm in for enough chili Biden this season. I
think I'm losing the most at the moment.
Well, yeah, we'll have to do a special episode just at the end of the season that's entirely just all our wages and all of the suffering.
As they go,
Well, yeah, I suppose, yeah, as they get knocked out, then we'll deal with the repercussions of our words.
You heard it here first. Ben, was trying to hype up the Miami Heat, but will not put the money where his mouth is.
I back down. That's a baby move, but oh well.
Miami suck. They're not going to make it. Like, when you've got Boston, Milwaukee, the Nets, Philly, all these teams, there's no way Miami's on that same level.
I think that's the problem with the East. They've got just really strong teams at the top, and then it's kind of a mix after that. So
zero chance.
Quickly finishing off the last-minute moves, we have neglected to mention one of them, to the Clippers.
Clip Daddy.
Who is it?
It's Russell Westbrook.
Yes, and I feel like we gotta stop calling Westbrook because he does a lot of good stuff off the court, and I feel bad now. But he is
a 10 out of 10. He is a really solid dude.
Yep.
A really, really nice. Has to be one of the nicest guys in the league.
And I think the big thing is too, you don't hear a ton of it because he's not flexing it. He just does it.
No, he just does it quietly, which honestly, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
If I was Russ, that's how I'd do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was playing with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I guess, look, you can be a nice dude but still have an inefficient play style.
I mean, look, that's just a fact. He's not the best shot selection. We've seen it for a few years now on the wrong team. It's not going to work.
I'm sure he's the nicest dude.
Yeah.
But he's he can be stubborn when it comes to playmaking.
Yeah.
He can be a little hard to coach, and some of his shot selection isn't great. Still doesn't change the fact that he's a lovely dude.
Yeah. But on the Clippers, do you think that's an improvement for Westbrook or improvement for the roster?
Well, I'll be really honest. When I first heard of the trade, I was like, I thought very little of it, and I thought that Russ was just doing whatever he could to stay in LA because that's where his family is.
I think that's a big part of it.
Which is probably part of it, yes. However, I then found a post on Reddit that showed me some math and statistics that actually showed that this move might have actually been a good idea. I was very confused when they traded away Reggie Jackson and John Wall. John Wall, I wasn't as confused about. I was like, yeah, he's old. It's it was an experiment.
Past his prime, yeah.
Didn't really pan out. That's fine. I haven't watched a lot of Clippers games this year, but I was like, yeah, John Wall bust. Cool. Old, not worth it. Reggie Jackson though, I was a bit more surprised because he was the guy that kind of stood up when Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were injured. He was playing really well. Getting more of the ball. He was, he wasn't an all-star, but he was definitely trying to fill the gap as much as possible. When they traded him away, I was like, I'm a bit confused. What the hell are the Clippers doing?
Yeah.
Until we saw the stats.
Okay.
Explain to me the stats, Ben. I think you're good at recounting better than I am.
Honestly, I also was thinking, Reggie Jackson makes a good impact. We saw when the Clippers had no stars, he was actually kind of carrying. But we have some stats with his impact on and off the floor. So with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the floor, Reggie Jackson and John Wall off. Net rating of +9.
Which is to be expected.
Which is expected, obviously. When you've got Kawhi and Reggie, and then John Wall and Paul George off, it's +1. When you have Paul George and Reggie and the other two off, it's -6. When you have John Wall with Kawhi or with Paul George on, it's -8, -10. So, yeah, they weren't as efficient as I think that the Clippers panned them out to be, I think.
Yeah, well not necessarily efficient, but they're not gelling well enough with the two superstars.
That's true as well. The chemistry as well, yeah.
Their job is to make their superstars look good, right?
Yeah.
And having a negative net rating when they're on together, whatever's happening is not working.
Yeah, because with Paul George and Kawhi on the court, it should be positive no matter who they're playing with. So if they're actually detracting from that, that's a bad impact.
So, and I didn't know this, but not apparently, the stats here, but when LeBron and Westbrook were sharing the floor, they were +7 net rating. So Clippers are like, look, and if LeBron and Westbrook can get +7, honestly, they just need something like a +3, a +2, just something better than a negative net rating, honestly.
I feel like the big thing with Westbrook is going to be, if he's running with the bench unit, I think he's more inclined to be taking inefficient shots. He'll hit some of them, but it's going to be more inefficient. If he's running with Paul George or Kawhi, I think it'll just play more into the game plan. I think he'll be a little bit more of a beneficial asset.
And look, and we don't want to diminish Russ. Like, he can pass.
Yeah.
He is a good passer. It's just often when it's like a clutch decision time where you've kind of got I pass it to this guy and let him shoot, or I shoot. He's more prone to being like, I'm going to take the shot.
Yep.
But in transition, especially, Russ is great.
100%.
He does look for passes. So it's not... That's the thing. If he was getting a +7 with LeBron, all they need is a +3.
Yeah. Not to mention as well, it really is the changing of the guard. This title kind of works well because the Clippers, not to forget, they brought in Bones Highland from Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in Eric Gordon as well from the Rockets, who he's been there for quite a while now, so change of pace for him.
That's right.
But they've really changed their whole backcourt in terms of their like backup guards. And I feel like we can probably see some, well, I'm hoping for their sake, hopefully see a bit more, I think, just production offensively, because you've got maybe not the best defensive guards now, but offensively I think it's going to be quite lethal. But we'll see.
That's the thing with the league. Everyone, like, you need to have some defense, but you can have really good defense and bad offense and you won't win games.
I mean, Bones has got some hustle in him, so yeah, I think it'll be a bit more balanced. Yeah,
but I'm just saying in general, like, you can have the best defensive team, you're not going to win games if you can't score.
Yeah.
So you need to have scoring first.
It's absolutely an offense-based league, so yeah, we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think it's super interesting to see the net rating especially with John Wall. John Wall was not the same person that he was. Yeah. So if Russ is playing with Kawhi Leonard or Paul George, and I guess we've also got to mention that Russ and Paul George have played together before.
That's true. And when they played together, Paul George was an MVP candidate. So obviously different team, different situation, but there's some chemistry there. Could pan out really well.
And obviously this move doesn't happen if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were if they weren't happy with it, I feel like it wouldn't have happened.
That's true. So obviously there's some like desire to play together there as well. So
at least give it a go, because obviously John Wall and Reggie Jackson weren't working statistically, so you might as well try. I
mean, considering this team, I keep saying it all season, but Vegas odds, this was the team that was meant to win the championship this year, and we haven't seen them at that level. So
it's always the Clippers. It's Clippers.
It's always an LA based team, really.
It's always the LA based team. They're always like, yeah, we want them to win.
But even still, we've not seen really the potential of this team all season. So be interesting.
Let's see if they can. Well, but they're still in fourth.
I mean, look, yeah.
That's the thing. They had their two main backup guards were with a negative net rating, and they're still fourth.
That's true. So really, I can't be throwing too much shade at them, because fourth, considering they're above the Suns and Mavs.
I cannot get over. Like, honestly, I can tell you right now that Denver, Memphis. Oh, I don't. The Kings.
No. Say it. The Kings.
The Kings. The Clippers, the Suns, and the Mavericks all have a chance of winning.
Yeah.
Right now, honestly, I could see either of them winning. Yeah. I could also see if New Orleans can get Zion back, they've definitely got a chance. If the Golden State Warriors can get Steph back,
they're a big question mark, but they always have a chance.
But they've always got a chance because it's Steph freaking Curry. Holy hell. But he's still hurt and not looking... Yeah, the Warriors are backpedaling hard. They're just holding on. Obviously, they made a trade for Gary Payton. He's still hurt. Let's see if I can really quickly pull up the injury list.
Yeah, it's not looking great for them.
No, it's really... Wiggins is out for personal reasons. Curry's out. Will be reevaluated soon. Payton is out in a month. Igloo's out. That's okay. And then Ryan Rollins. Who?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. But at least...
But yeah, Iguodala out too. Wiggins out currently. So, yeah, at this point, it's kind of just hang in there and hope you've got a team that can go into the playoffs. So, which they could do well if they're healthy then.
Really, really close. I'm really excited for the West.
Yep.
I cannot
really tight.
Wait. It is so exciting.
Speaking of the top teams of the West, the Grizzlies. Do we have an interesting discussion about the Grizzlies lined up?
I still stand by it, but they're rubbing people the wrong way, and they're getting a bad rep. And I think it's also the way they're doing it as well. But I did say I'd pull some stats and would have a look at the whole league, and I grabbed the top 50 players. We were going to do it at the top 34, equal 34th, but I was like, no, I need to be impartial.
Okay, so we're talking about technical fouls, by the way.
Yes, sorry. So I was like, how do we decide on how to judge a team?
Yep.
So we're like, let's do technical fouls. So I got the top 50 players with the most technical fouls. And we have a result by far. which we mentioned them anyway. By far, the worst team in the league for technical fouls is Golden State. It's not even close.
And for reference, they're almost up to 40 technical fouls this season, in no small part due to Draymond Green with 15 technical fouls just himself, which leads the league. No surprises there, to be quite honest.
Draymond Green is horrendous with the techs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Other notable offenders, I'm pretty sure Jordan Poole's quite high up there on the list as well.
Yes.
So they do have multiple players. I think it's not a huge surprise. And obviously, a little bit of a reputation probably there too.
There's a few people on there. Let me filter my. You've got Draymond at 15. Jordan Poole has 10. Steph has 5, which interesting. And then Kuminga and Thompson both have 4 each.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole and Draymond Green had a fight at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And
bit of a scuffle. Yeah.
They had a bit of a scuffle, and you learn new things every day, folks.
Yeah.
I made that word up. How is that already a word?
It's already a thing.
It's my word. Okay. Well, how do you know about that?
Because gosh, this story. I found out at a Christmas party for work. I think it was Anthony. It was Caitlin, I think. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, okay. So you guys won't hear it, but I said a word. I made up a word that was already a word that meant something really bad, and now I have to cut it. But it's not a rude word. I think I could keep it in.
Rude. It's just kind of weird, really. Yeah.
Oh, but damn it! I have to edit this now. Okay. Remind me at the 36-minute mark.
All
maybe we'll make a little short out of it. Maybe we could be like.
We can probably make a little.
We could be like technical difficulties. This is what we cut from the episode this week.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I just make up the best words. Clearly,
that's fair.
So Golden State are up there.
Yeah.
Back to the results of my investigation. Don't talk about bad things, guys. So Golden State are the worst. The Phoenix Suns are the next top.
I mean, yeah, I can kind of see that.
It's Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And Book.
I was going to say, honestly, Booker in my mind actually talks a lot as well. I don't know his exact
Book talks a lot of smack. Let me get Phoenix up, which it is. And sorry, this is also taking into account Kevin Durant.
This is post-trade, so...
This is post-trade. So, actually, they're not that bad.
Because KD himself brings 11 techs.
We should say a caveat that with Kevin Durant, they're the second worst by far.
Yep.
But if you took KD out, you got Damon Lee, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin both with 5 each, which is honestly pretty good.
Yeah.
That's actually not surprising.
So it's a lot of repeat offenders, like multiple players, but not too many each player. So
no, they're just they know when to turn it up and turn it down.
Yeah.
I when I see 5, I'm like, cool. They know when to stop.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
It's not like Draymond that just doesn't know how to do anything.
That's
so
true.
I don't. Yeah. So if we took KD out, I don't think Phoenix would be.
No.
Yeah, half of that's
they'd
Phoenix.
be average.
So we can take out Phoenix. Minnesota are up there as well.
Yeah.
And that is also due to one main person.
Anthony Edwards, is it?
Anthony Edwards.
Yep, third most techs in the league with 12. So, yeah, he's a big factor. You've got a few other players on the team that have got a couple of techs in the season, but mostly Edwards.
Yeah, which, he's the future of the team if they can't keep Cat.
And younger guy, I think he's, a little bit more outspoken probably.
Which then leads us to the Clippers, which is not a good because they've inherited Russ's
techs as well post trade,
which I think he's not leading. No, Marcus Morris Sr.
Yeah, actually, I mean Morris brothers. I'd see that coming, but actually Bones Highland and Westbrook both have 7 each. So without those trades, they're actually one of the least offenders in the league. So.
Clippers have inherited some techs.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So if we go to the Clippers, then from there we have the Grizz. So realistically, the Grizz are third.
Yeah, I'd say after Timberwolves and after the Warriors, because the other teams are skewed based on trades with KD and Westbrook, etc. So yeah, probably the third biggest offender in the league as a team, and obviously their number one leader in technical fouls, Dylan Brooks. No surprise there.
We don't like him.
Man,
no one likes
him. I'm sick of him.
I also think it's interesting that Jar has 7 and Jaren Jackson Jr. has 6.
Yeah,
it's not huge. It's just one of those things where it's not huge. Like 7 compared to what Curry had 4. It's not a huge
A
amount.
huge difference,
but it's enough.
Yeah.
The difference is that Ja is 17th, whereas if I find Golden State again, Curry's 34th in the league, or equal 34th.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of numbers being thrown around, but what does this actually mean? So boils down that the Grizzlies are up there in terms of the worst offenders, in terms of being a unnecessarily scrappy team, technical fouls, talking back, things like that.
Unnecessary talking.
Yeah. So it backs it up. The numbers
A little
don't lie.
bit. A little bit.
But I think that outside of the numbers as well, because you've got Golden State, who, even without any trades, by far are the leader.
I didn't realize Golden State were that bad, but then they've always been the team where once they give away one, they get mad and they keep it's the fun. It's very entertaining.
It is entertaining. It's mostly Draymond, but that's the thing, right? You've got the Warriors have got that similar reputation, but it's kind of got a positive spin. Like, oh yeah, these guys talk. It's entertaining. The Grizzlies, however, kind of have a reputation of these guys talking is a bad thing.
Yes.
I don't know if that's necessarily a fair thing, but it's a reputation that they've started to build, and I guess that's part of it. So
now I want to see them lose to everyone.
We will see. I think they're going to be a deep playoff team.
Look, you raise a good point. I won't dispute that it's entertaining when Golden State do it, because it's just so funny watching them lose their minds, and then when Kerr comes in and everyone starts getting upset, it's hilarious.
True.
Whereas like the Grizzlies are just talking smack. Like half the time, here's the thing, right? I think here's the difference potentially, is that the Warriors get upset at the referees, and you sort of get to see that spiral of them pissing off the referees. Whereas the Grizzlies are mostly talking smack at other teams.
That
it's not that same entertainment value.
Especially Dylan Brooks. So yeah, that's a fair
and it's like
difference to make. Yeah.
Dylan Brooks is getting texts for doing dirty plays on other players, whereas Draymond is getting texts. Some of his are for dirty plays, but most of them are for him yelling. He got a tech. Was it this year or last year when he got a tech for yelling at Poole?
Yeah,
he was swearing at Poole during a game.
That was last year. I think playoffs even.
Yeah, and then the ref gave him a tech for swearing at his own teammate. Yeah, hilarious,
crazy. Oh. But I think honestly, minus Draymond or minus Dylan Brooks, these teams are a lot cleaner.
Yeah,
it's kind of just the big offenders in those two.
So I will maintain that the reason why everyone hates the Grizzlies is because they're talking bad smack to other players, and it's a lot harder to relate to that, right? Yeah. It's a lot easier, be like, oh yeah, Ja was talking smack to Stephen Curry again and got a tech. Probably deserved it. Whereas oh yeah, Steph got a bad call and got teched because he was yelling at the ref. One's a lot more easier to...
That's fair. When a bad call is made, you kind of sympathize for the players and you're arguing as well. So yeah.
Whereas it's Ja deserved it. I want to see the Grizzlies get beat because all they do is talk smack.
But again, I think it'll just spur them on more. So we'll have to see when it comes to playoff time, when it gets real juicy.
I can't wait for them to get beaten in the playoffs. It's going to be so funny.
We will see.
Well, I think that's the episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Please make sure you give us a like and subscribe, share, view our TikToks. Just please let us know what you think.
Engage with us.
Engage.
We appreciate it.
Shout out to my mum, my girlfriend's mum, and my girlfriend.
The OGs.
And Anthony.
Yes.
He's listening to our podcast from the start though, so he won't hear this shout out for another year.
But when you get here, this one's for you. We dedicate this one to you, man.
But yeah, you're such a cutie. Thanks for listening. He's listening to old episodes that aren't current. I'm just why? And he's like, yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but I'm gonna do it. When he catches up, this one's for you, man. So thanks for listening. Peace. We out. See ya.